Hey, everybody off the Mike Sports Network here. NBA playoffs, the conference finals start very shortly, depending on when you're watching this video. I am taping this right before the start of game one of the Western Conference Finals between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Knicks Pacers, which is going to be an outstanding series. The swan song for TNT starts on Wednesday. I'm here to give you guys not my predictions, but what I think the fans and what the NBA desperately wants. First of all, you want the Knicks in the finals. As much as I like Indiana, even though they've stuck a dagger in my heart, Indiana is a very fun and very deep team that plays a very unique and exciting style of basketball. That ain't going to sell in the ratings. If Indiana makes the finals against either Minnesota or Oklahoma City, that is a nightmare for the NBA. Let's just get that out of the way. So if I'm the NBA, the Knicks have got to be there. So it's between who would the NBA rather see? Would they rather see Oklahoma City, best team in the NBA, MVP of the league in SGA, or would they rather be the Minnesota Timberwolves? I think that this is a very, very easy call. Knicks, Timberwolves would, not just from a storyline perspective, from a basketball perspective, could be one of the best NBA finals ever. It really could, because as I said, the storylines are there. The offseason trade involving Karl Anthony Towns and Julius Randle. Dante DiVincenzo was involved in that one. Tom Thibodeau once was the head coach and general manager of the Minnesota, I think, or president of basketball operations of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So there's that element of it. You've got Anthony Edwards in the Garden. The Timberwolves have never won a championships. The Knicks haven't won one since, 73, I think. So the storyline's right itself there. And I think, to me, from an entertainment value standpoint, New York, Minnesota is about as good as you're going to get. And it obviously helps that the number one media market, New York, is involved with this. And the Knicks, which have been really just a downtrodden franchise for the last several years, finally getting their first NBA finals since 1999. And I would have it in a non-lockout season. I can't even tell you the last time that they made I think it was 90. I think it was 95, actually, might have been the last. It was either 94 or 95 that the Knicks made the finals against the Rockets and ended up losing that series in 7 games. I think it was 94. Don't quote me on that, but that's the last time they made it to the NBA finals when there wasn't a lockout. So that tells you everything you need to know. Minnesota, this is the furthest they've ever been, is the conference finals. They went there with Kevin Garnett one year, and then obviously they went last year and they ran into a really hot Mavs team. So listen, everybody's going to probably, from obviously having the best team in Oklahoma City still around. I just think if Oklahoma City faced New York, or if Oklahoma City faced New York in the NBA Finals, I think that Oklahoma City would have a considerable advantage in terms of matchups and their depth and just the way they wear you out. Oklahoma City and Indiana is interesting from a basketball perspective. That might be maybe the best possible matchup out of any of these because of the depth, the style of play. They match up really well together. It would be really, really intriguing. The problem is it's Oklahoma City against Indiana. That would not rate very well. So if I'm the if I am the league, I am rooting hard for the New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves to get there. And if I'm a fan, that's the series I want too, because to me, that's going to give you great basketball. It's going to give you a star in Madison Square Garden. It gives you a team in the Knicks that, it's a big time story. You're going to have some level of history. And, I think the league is going to want a big market in this NBA Finals to cap off what has been really a tremendous NBA postseason so far. It sucks that the Cavs aren't involved, but, hey, Knicks, Pacers, Oklahoma City, and Minnesota, that is about as good of a set of conference finals as you do. If you're asking me, gun to my head, who I think is going to win both of these series, I think it's going to be New York and Oklahoma City. I just think Oklahoma City a lot of things are going their way. They're deep. They have the MVP of the league. That being said, I would not rule it out in the slightest if Minnesota won this series, because people are dismissing Minnesota's first 2 gentlemen sweeps and only playing 10 games. And we're wondering if Julius Randle is going to actually be a thing, but they knock out the Lakers in 5 games. They knocked out Steph Curry played a half in that series against in the Golden State series against Minnesota last round. So you just don't really know with the Timberwolves, and really it's going to come down, does Julius Randle play at the level he's played at in the first two rounds, because he's not been known as a great playoff performer. Um, Minnesota does match up pretty well, but I just feel like Oklahoma City, after getting over that hump and getting over Nikola Jokic, I just think it seems like it's in the cards for Oklahoma City. And I just think the Knicks, I've said it here on this channel, I think the Knicks feel like a team of destiny. They just feel like a team of destiny. They knocked out the defending champ. Jalen Brunson's playing out of his mind. I mean, the I think the Pistons actually the Pistons I think actually gave the Knicks a better show than the Celtics, which is saying something. Um, but yeah, this is going to be very entertaining conference finals. But the point that I continually need to hammer home, if you're asking me what I want to see and what I think a lot of fans should want to see, is New York and Minnesota. And what the NBA desperately wants to see is New York, Minnesota. Some people will say Oklahoma City just because they're the number one seed and they were consistently the best team in the NBA throughout the entire regular season and through the postseason. And that, like I said, MVP, it seems like it writes itself. I just think Anthony Edwards, Minnesota, and then obviously the offseason trade with Karl Anthony Towns, all that stuff that got shuffled around, Dante DiVincenzo getting shuffled away from his Villanova teammates right before the start of the season. And then Tom Thibodeau was literally the head coach of Minnesota not too long ago. So it's a fascinating, way that we could set these things up. Indiana against either Minnesota or Oklahoma City would be an interesting series. It doesn't really move the needle from a national perspective to drag in, like, people who are casually not really caring about basketball and are going to watch the NBA finals. You're going to want a big market. That's why I think the Knicks are the team that, the league desperately needs to be in the finals, whether it's Minnesota, Oklahoma City. So this will be really interesting. This should be a lot of fun. It sucks the Cavs aren't around, but you know what? Those are the breaks. Indiana played a better series. And for any of those Cavs fans who are just going to linger onto this and just be like, hey, um, we should have been there, move on. It happens. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.